Hello world, Way of Time here, bringing to you another episode of EEPower. Now sorry I've been gone and out of action for a few days. Unfortunately, busted up shoulder meant that painful stuff, well, not that fun. So without further ado, I think I'm going to get this out of the way because I was working on another project in another world. And I don't think you guys will want that because apparently cheating in a lever is not allowed. But I did do some useful, fun stuff to this industrial craft room. As you see, I've got a very nice vaulted ceiling, which is my preference to this room. I'd probably ruin this room out a bit, and I've got a bit of a... Ooh, I shouldn't touch that. A bit of a archway for, say, when I put some sort of portal here, I can just go voom, 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 and go to the other areas. Also, I helped increase the efficiency of this pump by actually putting in a pump. Maybe a bit slow, I could put redstone engines there instead, but I am filling out a few of these arcane, not arcane, but anyways, they are nice fluid pumps, and don't you dare go out of the pump and kill in my world. Okay, now that I got my jetpack all powered up, I can give you a tour of the outside. Since the roof is also pretty good, I've ruined up the place a bit more. Have a nice style roof at the top. And it is slightly different, but not completely different from my main spawn building right over here. I'm hoping that I'll have quite a few different building designs, especially for this area. Also, I added a satellite pump to that block breaker thing over here, and I think I have everything working 100%. I tested it like 2 or 3 times on individual block breakers, but as I kill this one last stupid slime, I will finally get to doing some work. So let's jump into programming this thing. Now, I am a little rusty with the stuff I did currently, and the stuff that I already did failed miserably, thus I am going to restart. So, I'll try to explain as best as I can what I am doing, but keep in mind some of the stuff I've forgotten. But anyways. Okay, starting off, what we need to do is do a few variables to say where this quarry is. It'll be very important in the future to know exactly where the quarry is, especially when you have multiple instructions like, I want to go over there, please. Take me to the theater. Stuff like that. So what we'll want is to make a few variables. So a variable for the current x, a variable for the current y, and a variable for the current z. Yes, I will be making a few mistakes while I am doing this, since it's very difficult to talk and type accurately at the same time. So next thing, we'll press Shift F3 to get the coordinates without that funky bar at the bottom, which is annoying. And you see we have our X, Y, and Z coordinates all in one little bit. So if we stand 2 in front, we can actually write our calibrate function. This will be pretty much the brains of our thing when we are writing our Goto and the direction things. So we'll want to calibrate it. Because of how the stacks work, we'll be writing an X, Y, and Z before the calibrate word, but in it, because of how the stack works, we'll have to assign the Z, then the Y, then the X. So current Z, current Y, and current X. And this will put all of that in those 3 locations. And then we just do the semicolon, and supposedly this will work. So we type in 34590 negative 256 calibrate, and everything should be working hunky-dory. Hooray, hurrah, hooray, hurrah, hurrah. Okay, now we know that the calibration should be working. Let's assume that it does and move on to another important thing we'll need. This is the inverse word, which basically takes a flag, so true, say you have true in front of it. When you use the inverse, it'll turn it to false. So we have to check if it's true. If it's true, give false instead. Otherwise, give true. And then end that word. Okay, next we'll then add a variable called delay1. Variable delay1. And assign it a simple delay of 20 ticks. This will be in our positive x, negative x, and all those directions. And the final thing that we'll need before we add anything else to the system is we should program our light switch. As you see, it's on when it has enough light, but it'll be off when it doesn't have enough light. So we should add it so that when it's on, it'll give a delay. No, when it's on, it'll not give a delay. When it's off, it will. So make a new word called light. But we should add that delay because to a variable, delay2, because we'll want to tweak that delay when we are working later on. So you don't have to reprogram the entire thing if something is wrong. So let's see, light. So we'll check, let's see, we'll read in ioxat. We'll read in from this and check if it's blue. If I am right, blue is probably a very big number. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048. So 2048 if use and then check if they're equal. Okay, actually and type out 2048 again equals. And if they are equal, so if the blue wire is on, I don't think we want to do anything if I am right. Actually, inverse. If. So if it's not on, we'll want to do a delay of delay 2 ticks. Delay 2 at ticks. And then we don't do anything on the other case. So that should work, supposedly. I think we'll have to figure that out when we go for the next word, which will be our positive x direction, plus x. Our positive x direction is controlled by our white wire. So when the white wire goes on, it'll pull this structure in the positive x direction. Therefore, white is a 1 IOX set. Then we'll want a delay of 8 ticks for awesomeness. Then we want to reset it. And then do a delay of 1, delay 1 ticks. And then we'll also want to do a delay of light. Light meaning that if it is bright out, it won't add any extra delay. Light, check. And then the next one we will need is to, this is the most important part, re-update our calibration. So since it's moving in the positive x direction, we need to add 1 extra to the current x. So we take the current x, the current x, take it out, add 1 to it, put it back into our current x and overwrite it, and then do a semicolon to end the entire sequence. There. Simple enough, in theory. Now let's test that out by destroying some of the grass. I don't think it makes any difference, but it could. So let's do plus x, and it moves. Good. So as you see, it moved without a hitch, since there's a lot of covers underneath this thing, as you see by the nice little highlightation there. So it doesn't drag a bunch of dirt with it, which would be very counterproductive. Next, actually, to demonstrate that the current x worked, we should take the current x and put it on the top of the stack and check what it is. 3, 4, 6. What is our current x? 3, 4, 6. So it works. So what we should do now is do its counter move, which is negative x. Negative x is going to be using the orange wire. Orange wire way over here. Orange wire is 2. So we pretty much do the exact same thing as we did for the others, except substituting the 1s for 2s, and then do delay. See what happens when I am talking and typing? It's not a very pretty sight, you know? But this time, we change the current x at 1 minus, so we take the current x and subtract 1 from it, current x, and transcribe it, and then do a nice fancy semicolon to end the thing, so when we do minus x, it will move it. Check the new current x at, now it's 345, we're at 345, everything is hunky-dory, working and everything else going on. Okay, moving onwards, we can do the next simple set of instructions. Pretty much, I'm just going to say it right now, I'm just going to go away right now and do the positive x, positive z minus negative z, positive y, negative y. Those would be pretty much exactly the same thing. I'll test them out and see if they work. Magenta is our negative z, and our light blue is our positive z. Lime is negative y, and our, not pink, that's magenta, yellow is our positive y. So I'll add those in and show you when I'm done what it looks like. Just to show I didn't do any funny business whatsoever, here are the 4 extra snippets of code that goes with everything. Now you're probably wondering, Wei, why are you bothering with a stupid stuff like current y at 1 plus current y exclamation mark? What does that even do? Well, nameless person, that doesn't even matter right now. I will answer you the questions. Ooh. Basically, this code snippet is basically, I said basically already, what it does is it says where the quarry is right now. So if you want to go somewhere, like say I want to go to 350 and negative 300, x and z respectively, I can just tell it to go to that location. But you need the coordinates to say where I am right now. So let's show a go to command. What we'll do is this go to command will accept an x and z variables of where you want to go. And then it'll check it with the current positions that you have. So what it works on is the z position first. It'll take what you are at right now and compare it to where you want to go by subtracting them. Then for some operations later, it'll duplicate the number twice, and then it'll check if that difference between the two are equal to 0. If it isn't, it can go on to other greater and better things. So Next, what it'll do is check if the difference is greater than 0. So, if the place you want to go to in the z direction is greater than the place you are going to in where you are right now, it will go in the positive. It'll do a do loop with the number that you supplied it and go in the positive z direction. Might be good to get the wording correct way. Otherwise, it will want to go into the negative z direction. But to do that, you have to take the number and multiply it by -1, or else it'll think you're going very far away for some reason with how the numbers work out. Trust me, it works out. Then you do a do loop with that instead. And then close those if statements, and then you worry about all the tidying up of the stack with the else, drop, drop, then. Those last 4 words pretty much tidy up the stack, so takes away the useless numbers off the stack if the difference was 0. Something that could have been done earlier, but it doesn't matter too much. So you got the z direction, but at the same time you need to do the y direction. So it's the exact same thing, but instead of z's, it's x's. Put it into your program, and then close everything with a nice, happy colon. Colon. But it's a semicolon, so it's not as delicious. So let's go to our system, since we're going to need to save our work, and grab 7 pieces of wood and 1 piece of iron. Hooray, hurrah. And then craft all of our fancy goodness that we will need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Blank floppy. Now let's save this by taking out our 4th disk, put in our non-4th disk, save ours as the mobile Quarry 3, and then the double quotation marks for awesomeness. Going to save it, because if we try something and something is messed up, that would be a bad thing. Oh, and the good thing about the mobile Quarry Mach 3, cabin space! Woohoo! No, just me happy about that? With the new cabin space, you can just simply go like this, and you will never get out! Yeah, I'll keep that to myself. Okay, so let's try that out by raising our quarry by 1. And then find a nice, healthy spot for it to go to. So, -260. How about 350, -260? So, get that out of the way. 350, -260. So 350 in the x direction, -260 in the z direction. Go to and activate. It'll first make all of our iterations in the z direction. And once it completes all of those, it will go in the x direction. So as you see, its calibration is saying that, hey, I've already got all of my z directions done, so bring me to the x directions. Now, if there's tall grass, will it go down? No, it doesn't, because it is wimpy. Wimpy, wimpy quarry. Why are you so wimpy? Eventually, when I put the break commands, it'll work very well, but for now, it doesn't seem to like it. It is very pesky, so we just do that, and everything is working. So, every calibration should be working, but you saw that I have to manually raise it and lower it, and that's not really acceptable. So we pretty much do a raise to command. The raise to command is exactly like the go to command, but we're raising up the quarry or lowering it to a desired Y level. Right now, we're at Y level 90. So if we want to bring it to 100, right about here, nope, up here, we'll need to drop our dark matter pickaxe for one, and also, or do 10 plus y's, or do a raise to command. Take half of the go to command, so all the information pertaining to the z, for instance, and change everything to y. And as you see, we can get a simple program that will raise the roof a bit. So let's try 100 raise 2. Actually, I'm going to check what its current y position is right now, because that would be a bit difficult if it, starts lowering it into the ground, and that would suck a lot. So 100 raise 2. It will raise it up 10 times. 2. And then when it gets to that point, it should stop. 5, 6. Okay, as you see, there's some problem with the timing of this Y thing. Obviously, it does not get enough energy for all of its operations. What we can do to energize it a bit is to add one of these in and a frame to help it out a bit to receive energy when it is stuck. A bit of a problem if there's too many frames, but this should be a good goal to work towards. So add that in, power up please, and get back to work. Okay, so we're not at the y equals 100 that we want it to be, but I think we were pretty much high enough. So yeah, almost there. We just missed 4 steps. We'll need to either increase the delay or add some sort of special delay for the y direction, since it does not maintain connection to the entire group, which the rest of the stuff does. Let's not worry about that. Let's lower this quarry back down again to a respectable level, redo the calibration, and then finally get to the quarry stuff, which we wanted to get to for a long time. Okay. Now, there are a few variables that we are going to need to declare to get everything working for our query. We'll need to put the variables for our query directions and our variables for our, current location on the quarry. If we don't have these in, the quarry will have no clue where it is at that particular moment, and you don't want the quarry to constantly be hitting a wall. Why am I not going forward? Breakthrough! Because it doesn't have a dark matter pickaxe or a hammer of awesomeness to do all that for you. See? Awesomeness. Okay, got the variables, most of the variables done. And now we need some way to change those stuff. So adding dimensions and whatnot. So let's do a simple dimensions word. Dimensions. This dimensions word will take the X and Z. Basically, think of this as a grid that the quarry will be moving in. This will be the X directions that it'll be moving in, and this will be the Z it'll be moving in some sort of coordinate system. Now think of this like as one block. There's a block over here, etc., 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 and it will be golden. Now, okay, so if you think of it like that, it'll be the X, then Z, then the height. So how much this direction it wants to go in, how much in this direction it'll move in, and then how far down it will go before it goes, okay, I am full, can I get out of here please? So that's where our dimensions is. So h will be our height, and because of how our movements in this direction are, it'll be, think of it as like a y coordinate on a grid. We have to divide that number that we get by 5 and put it in our y. Prescribe it with an exclamation mark and drop that pesky remainder that we do not need. And because of our 5-ness, we need to subtract it by 1 more than that, the extraction by 6, and prescribe it in there. I know I'm having a bit of a difficulty explaining it, but let's put it this way. Say you want a 20 by 20 quarry and to go 10 levels down. What you'll do is go 20 by 20 by 10 and then type in dimensions. This will go into the internal memory and prescribe everything, change those variables to say, okay, I am going this many times down and this is how big I want to go. Now, before we go on to the more tricky things, what we're going to do is make a word for our kill switch. So the kill switch's job is when we turn it on like so, we want it to stop the quarry operation right away. No, okay, I want to go till the end of this layer, stopping right away. It's stop right now kind of way. So we'll have to be able to check this gray wire if it is on. Gray's number, I believe, is 128. So let's do that. Kill. Since it's our kill switch, that will be the word. It will return a flag to say whether it's on or not. So it'll return a true flag if it's on or false if it's off. So we take the 128 wire, record, and check if they match. If it's exactly 128, which it should be if it's on, it will give a -1, which is a true. Otherwise, it will give a false, which is a 0, and then it'll end that word. Let's just raise this quarry up for our next demonstration. But let's demonstrate that kill word also, if we can bloody compile this mess. So raise up, and let's try. We got a nice little bit of cobblestone right over here for our next bit, but we'll move on to that in a second. So, as you see, right here, the kill switch is off right now. So when we type in kill, then check the top of the stack, it's a 0. Why are you raining? I do not like rain. Why must you bother me when I am programming? You can tell I don't like the rain. But when this kill switch is on, it should give a -1, saying that it's true. There, presto changeo, everything's right. Okay, going on. Next, we'll want to make a word to break the stuff underneath these pesky little block breakers. So, let's make a word called break. So what it'll do is turn on the pink wire, since that's the one attached to the block breakers. Let me go over to here to show that out. It'll turn on this pink wire connected to the redstone, connected to the block breakers. That will turn on, break everything underneath it, and send everything to the chest, which I might want to turn to alchemical chest eventually, but that will have to wait. So what it'll do is take 64, set it, wait 4 ticks before resetting it, and then semicolon. I'm gonna go back, turn off this rain, and then hopefully my sanity will be more intact than it was before. Now that I think of it, that was probably a good time to test if my assembly right over here worked. Stupid way, not taking up an opportunity. Anyways, now that the break word is compiled, if we use break, if we type break correctly, it breaks everything, puts it into tubes, sends it to our nice handy dandy chest of awesomeness, and everything is hunky-dory. So we can use that multiple times, but we have to make sure that we do not kill the thing, since it would be a bad thing. Now let's go on to the more pertinent stuff, which will be awesomeness. Okay, just have to stretch before we go on to the stuff. So, if you think of this as an XY coordinate system of a grid for a quarry, say that it's quarrying like a 10 by 10 area, this would be much better with the Swiftwolf Rendingale, where I don't have to go space matching to keep level. Anyways, it'll go left and right. So this will be the right direction, where it's adding to the X for its position. And this will be the forward direction, where it's adding to the Y. This will be the backwards, and this will be the left. So, left, as you see, is the positive X direction, which happens to be the negative coordinate direction. But it's so confusing, I'm not even going to bother explaining it, since I do not fully understand it. And as you can see, it's not very good if the creator of the system does not fully understand it. So, let's just cut to the chase. We'll want this system to go right, and to mine while it's going right. So, to go right, we'll need to turn on the orange direction, which is the negative X direction for those playing at home, to IOX set. Wait a delay of 4 ticks. Then, to IOX reset, break what's underneath it. Then, we'll do a delay of 1 ticks. I gotta figure out a way to do that. Like, a delay of delay 1 at ticks is not really explanatory. But then we'll do a delay of light. And then we'll add 1 to our lowercase x coordinate thing, plus x there. I might be able to have a nice fancy graphic when it is moving, but for now you're going to have to settle with the non-fancy talking like this. Actually, this would be a very good way to describe things. Be right back. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of EEPower. Unfortunately, we have ran out of time because of all of the coding and whatnot. So I'll try to make it up to you and get part 2 of this episode released, well, tomorrow. Unless you're in the future, which means it's already released now, and check your inbox. Wave time, signing off. Have a wonderful day.